Good morning, evening, and night to the beautiful people of this world. My name is Juan.
And my name is Fabian.
And we are the Artistic Chicken. Now, today, we're going to be doing a demo reel of how to do drawing, basically. So, like, how to draw, basic stuff. So, line weight, pencil rules. We're going to use just a regular HB pencil. You can get this at, like, the Dollar Tree. And show you how, control line weight. And then I'm going to show you basic shapes that's good for practice and anything like that. And perspective, the basics of perspective. Now, I'm going to try to be quick with it, but we're going to have more intuitive videos about perspective drawing in another skit. So, yeah, you guys enjoy, and we're about to start our demo. We're going to start with this basic line weight. So, basics of drawing. People, like when you draw something, you always want to take into account how deep you put your pencil into the paper, basically. So, the harder you press, the more graphite, as you all know. And you can like mess around and like go pretty light with certain angles. And yeah. So everything is made up in drawing with a line, basically. So let's say I'm trying to draw something simple. A box, right? Simple enough. Start out with one line. And I start out with another line. And another line. And another line. There. But I can draw the same box with different line weight and make one side look heavier than the other and give it a better effect. See how that works? So you can get it like a nice little transparency effect with any drawing using line weight. Second thing I wanted to talk about is basically how shapes make up any and all drawings. So if you're drawing a person, which I'm sure a lot of you want to learn how to draw anyway, caricatures or characters, you guys have to focus on the shapes that make up the body, right? So the first shape that makes up the head, let's start with the head, is the skull. So the skull is a circular shape. Realistically, it's a circular shape with a square base. So the base would be like this, almost, looking at it at profile. You want to draw a line through the middle of it when you're drawing it facing you. If you're drawing it facing somebody else or facing a different direction, you want to do a line and an angle. And remember that the face is rounded, so you want to curve that line to an extent after you pass the first line of the circle. And you guys be very careful not to over stylize when you're starting off drawing, or you'll miss the basic, like I guess to say, the basic elements of the realistic face. Not saying a lot of you are trying to go into realism, just saying that realism is a good place to start. So yeah. So if you start out with that, you basically make a triangle here at the jawline, or you can make a triangle here, depending on how you want to draw it. And the circle. You want to solidify the circle now. So this is just a basic way of drawing a head. This is the basic shape of it. Now after a while, you're going to stop needing to draw these guidelines. You want to draw an eye line when you're drawing the eyes. If you want to, if you're not that good at measuring, and it's really hard to get like good at measuring visually until you like practice. So you want to draw like a line almost at the bottom of the circle of the head, and then right underneath that bottom of the circle of the head, you want to draw another line. That could be the nose line. So then from there you can draw a circle, go out and make a nose, or you can just have a square nose or some other type of nose. And then you can just have a simple line for the lips, but the lips are very more complex, and I can go deep into that later on. Very complex. You can get really in-depth with lips. So that's the basics of the face. In terms of shape, you know, the eyes are already circles, so you don't have to worry too much about that. There's circles within triangular prisms almost. So if you draw like a crystallized eye, you could expound upon that later on. But I'm drawing really small. And when you're starting off drawing, it's really good to start out big, because then you can see all your mistakes, and you can also correct upon it. And from a distance, the people you're selling it to won't see your mistakes, and it'll be more sellable that way. So yeah. The next part of the body I want to go over before I start looking at the basics of perspective is the torso. And I really enjoy the torso. It took me a while to learn how, like, what shapes took it up. So I'm just going to tell you what shapes took it up, so you don't have to go through what I go through trying to draw it at first. So you want to start the chest out with the big rectangle. And then wherever you put the midline is where the character is facing, almost, or where the torso is turning. So you want the torso turning, let's say I want to turn this way, I'll put it this way. But if you do that, it affects the rest of the body. So this is the breast line basically. And this is where the clavicle starts, or ends right here. The clavicle is like your collarbone, basically. Sorry about that, guys, for those who don't know the terms. Clavicle is your collarbone. From then you want to make, so make a W here, around where you made a line at the center. And then you want to establish, well, since we have this line here, we know where the ab is. And at the end of the line, you want to put this round to signify that last set of abs. Then from here, you can contort. I usually do contort, that's why I put this angle here. So you want to, like, do the muscular system basically, and then the skeletal system, and then the muscular system and the skeletal system. So here you see the rib cage, and from this angle, the rib cage as well. It's always going to make the same shape unless you're like in a different, like in a really sideways perspective, but it's always going to be a W as well. So yeah, this is where the abs technically start. As soon as this, like the ribs meet kind of at the center here, that's where your ab line starts. So seems like I went a little too up. Bringing it down a little bit. And what this is where it kind of gets a little bit tricky. So I'm like facing this way, right? Or the chest is facing this way. So I want to bring out, depending on where the legs are going to, will show you where these lower abdominal muscles are going to lean towards. So right now, I usually like having like the abs, not the abs, but the lower body muscles or the lower torso muscles aim kind of parallel from where the upper torso levels muscles go. So let's see how I'm going to do this. the obliques. Since this is going on the side, I'm going to keep that going that way. I'm seeing the side of this almost. This is going to go this way. I'm going to bring this one out and in. So this is your lower obliques touching your abs, basically, almost. And or like that. Fabo.
Yes.
This looks pretty good.
As far as I can see, it looks just fine.
Yep. Going to like angles or like different directions are probably the most difficult part, especially with this lower abdominal region. But if you nail it, it makes it look really, really good. Certain comic books do this like really, really well. Like I'd say like Teen Titans and like Batman probably too. Like any comic book that makes the character contort muscles in an abnormal way is like really good to study. Also, there's nothing better than a live model. So if you get somebody like that's willing to like, I don't know, model for you.
Strip for you.
Yeah, strip for you.
Show their skin.
Show their skin. Then that'll help you a lot.
Draw them.
Then you draw them naked. Yeah. If they're willing to do that for you. But that's whatever. Live models, probably the best way to go. It's going to be the best realism training you're ever going to get.
There are also websites you can go to.
Yep, websites where you can find. But you
want
it to be a very good resolution picture if you're looking. So you have to go to like one of those professional websites. I can't think of one on the top of my head. Fabian, you not remember one?
No, I can't.
Well, if we find one, we're gonna leave it on the bio. Oh yeah. Also, any artist that's getting into thank you for reminding me. Any artist that's getting into like life drawing and like trying to get the muscles right should get Anatomy for the Artist or Human Anatomy for the Artist. If you want to learn about animals, Animal Anatomy for the Artist. You can get it at Amazon or like any like bookstore, basically, any like high bookstore. And yeah. So that's the torso. Kind of didn't go too deep with it, like I kind of want to. I kind of went a little far. I don't want to go too far. But yeah. So basically, square. I'm even going to draw a shape over it. Or box, right here. Boom. Box right here. A W right underneath. You can even do the Greek way. The Greek way is just a triangle in the middle. That's how they did their statues. They had a triangle. They didn't have a circular edge. It was a straight triangle. But that's because like Greeks were into the triangular type art. Ancient Greeks. I don't know what type of art they're doing now. But yeah, they're very known for analyzing the body and all that. Then for the lower part, it's all edges and like angles. And with edges and angles, you can also break those down into shapes, but you probably just want to do some light drawing in that case. This looks kind of weird, but this is how you do, like how you break it down kind of muscular wise. You can even break this down into like, I guess, what's a good word for these? These are also rectangles, I guess. And then you want to just like go from there basically. And the next thing I wanted to go over briefly before I finish the video is perspective drawing. So perspective drawing works on vanishing points. You can have one vanishing point, and once you draw like something like a square, everything edges, aside from the furthermost edge, goes to the square. And then you can like close it basically. Very important that you use straight lines when you do this as well. Like use a ruler. I'm not using a ruler right now, but you kind of get the gist of it. And you can do really neat stuff with perspective. You get really good at it. You can also make like a towering. I've seen plenty like tower artwork that goes straight down, like worm's eye view type thing. Not worm's eye view, but bird's eye view, but like at a 1 point instead of at a 3 point. So like like multiple buildings coming out or something like that. I don't know. But 2 point, just briefly, and I'm gonna have a whole video about this later on, is going to be about this horizon line you want to set up. So everything in perspective is about horizon lines and vanishing points. Really, you want to find the horizon line first, even for this first one, and then you want to find that vanishing point. You find the horizon line, then you find the vanishing points, and then you perspective draw. Now in nature, sometimes it doesn't end up being a perfect 2 point, it ends up being a 3 point, or sometimes it doesn't end up being a perfect 1 point, it ends up being a 3 point that's like kind of 1 point-ish, depending on where it's going, where certain items are going. In other words, depending on what it is, it could be changed. So perspective drawing is kind of tricky like that if you're going difficult with it. You can keep it really simple though too. So yeah, if you're going for like architecture type things, then perspective drawing is definitely going to help you. Rulers are recommended. You can also, like when you're doing these, mix it up a tad bit and like have things coming out of those perspective drawings. So if I had this and I wanted to make, let's say, I want to do something here inside of it, like a bridge or something coming out of it, I'd write this whole box, right? And then I'd go here from this point, pull it up. So you'd be like going from the vantage point away from it, in this case. And from this one, from this one still, you want to keep going. Boom. Then boom. And then you can make this line, like pick a point here, make this line affect the top line. And then you gotta keep it going like that almost. So you can make like bridges and contortions and stuff like that. You can also do a different thing with it. Trying to think, because there's something else you could do. You could make like an open edge to it, like an open square in it. So in this case, I suppose you'd have to go straight down from this point. And you go straight down from this point. And then you use this vanishing point from this point. Should line up because I just did that right. And the same thing with this one. Boom. Bring it out. Like that. Something like that. Now you have an open-ended bridge. And that was basically all I really wanted to go over for today. We went over body types, faces, shapes, line weight. And I wanted to show you how deep you can get with it as well. So like, I like torsos, especially working on them. I do like a whole bunch of other things. But like when you're life drawing, it's a lot better practice with torsos and everything. You want to like simplify it. leg muscles are different too. But if you break everything down into shapes, it becomes easier. Once you learn perspective, you're able to combine it all and make a character, whatever you really want to do. So this is like my practice art book. If you break down the muscles and the bones and everything, it also helps knowing how everything works. Yeah. So guys, that was basically the tutorial video. And subscribe, like for more. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I can improve on. I like criticism. I prefer people tell me how I can get better in terms of like my presentation and everything. And my next video hopefully will be about perspective, but we might do something else.